All right, welcome back to the Radical Fabulatorium. I'm your host, John Adamian, and now joined with a couple members of Willful Disobedience, Mike and Chuck. How's it going, guys?
All right.
Great, man.
Yeah, just make sure that mic's right up to your face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Do I put it inside my mouth?
Yeah, you can swallow it if you want.
Okay.
All right, so how's it going, guys?
Yes.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So you got a show coming up this Saturday at the Panic Room?
Yeah.
Cool. You want to tell me about that?
I thought it was Friday up until about 3 or 4 minutes ago.
Thought it was Friday?
Yeah.
It is Saturday, right? I only know that because my buddy Sean Smith and Heat Seeker just messaged me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's Saturday.
Confirming
Should
Saturday.
Probably look at the dates, I suppose.
Yeah, it's all good though. Is that with Artificial Dissemination?
Yeah.
Cool.
From Ontario.
From Ontario, yeah. Are you playing just the one gig with them, or are you
Just the one gig.
the
with
one
them,
gig? Yeah.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a show in Moncton, but it fell through.
It fell through. Cool. Well, I mean, not cool, but it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
So actually, the Panic Room. So I kind of wanted to ask you about the Panic Room because that's been a pretty important venue for the scene, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's what? I don't know. It's going on like 8 years now or something like that. 8 or 9 years. I don't know.
Yeah. I would have said 7, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the first time I played there.
It's changed locations a few times, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a spirit, not a location.
Okay. I like that. It's a spirit, not a location.
Yeah. Yeah, the first one was great. There was a hole in the roof, and that was the only way out if it ever got lit on fire.
That was the Uptown location?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did that ever happen? Did you have to ever like jump out the roof?
No. Saw some pretty crazy stuff there, though. An old Fredericton band, Rectum of Pain.
Okay.
Saw the singer of Rectum of Pain lay a tarp out on the floor and butt chug a beer in front of everybody. That was,
Okay.
that was pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
You witnessed the butt chug with your own eyes?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never been.
I wasn't there for that.
It was fast. It was really fast.
Okay.
Yeah. You'd be surprised just how fast you can funnel a whole beer up your ass.
All right.
Excuse me.
That's exciting. Okay. Cool. So that's at the Panic Room. Yeah. So that's cool. It's nice to have venue so it's been the same owner the whole time, Jay?
I don't know if it's an owner.
Or I guess you said it's a spirit.
It's a collective,
it's a
right?
collective?
It's a spirit,
Yeah.
not
An
a
organizer?
location.
Yeah, he's definitely
Would we say organizer?
spearheading
Spearheading it. Okay. Because that's a typical problem, right? Running out of venues, especially for punk and metal
Oh yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, that'll always. It seems like you get a chance. You kind of get your head a little bit above water, and then something comes in and cuts it right down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to a band from Victoria and the younger guys, and they were talking about their woes with venues, and it was just like same old story. Like they're probably like early 20s. I'm near 40 now, so it's like, yeah, it's the same old story. Just they're a couple shows at a venue gets shut down, or someone complains, or something stupid happens, and then it just rolls into a new one.
Yeah, it's weird how it never works. It's always like a bar that's like half going out of business, and they're just trying to hold on. So it's like, oh, we'll let these people in, and they have a few good nights, and then they try to overdo it, and it just fades away, or I don't know. It's a weird thing. One of the most interesting parts about it is that sensation that you think that you're unique, and then like it's something really special about your scene, and then you get out there and it's like people are experiencing the same sort of thing through this music all over the world.
So are you saying that's a good thing or a bad thing if the scene feels special?
I think it's a good thing that it's happening for everybody, because it's not so much that it's disappointing to find out that you're not unique if you revel in that sensation. Okay. But it's like it's good to know that this is something that is that impactful. Yeah. That many people share it, and a lot of those situations. Yeah, I mean, everybody's got their unique situations. Yeah. But they've got this. You've got this sort of shared experience as well. It's like a formula, right? And there's a formula that's bringing experience and knowledge to people all over. It's pretty cool, right?
Interesting.
And with things being so, the world being so small now. Yeah. that a lot of that message is getting relayed a lot faster.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, people still can't get a fucking venue.
Interesting. And okay, so again, that makes me these punk guys out in Victoria, they were saying like they had like there's a group of like 16-year-olds that are following them around from show to show, and they're super stoked about the scene. And like it made us discuss like the all ages scene, which is like always seems to be kind of a battle to keep an all ages vibe going. Mm-hmm. Do you feel that here in the city? Like all ages is all like comes and goes in Saint John the way it seemed, or is all ages kind of like an afterthought here, or how do you guys kind of view that? I know it probably changes as you get older, but
I don't want to hijack the whole thing, Chuck.
No, from what I remember, all ages shows never really happened.
They never really happened, yeah.
Not in Saint John, no.
No.
But recently we played PEI, and there was like 3 people at the show, and they said, "Oh, it's too bad you didn't book an all ages show. Like, play in the middle of the day, and you would have had."
Yeah, I guess PEI is really all ages heavy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But they want to do the matinee shows, or like
just more people are interested in that, I guess.
More
with the younger crowd, they're not necessarily wanting to go out to the bars.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is.
It's understandable.
Well, the bar we played in was like definitely a place that like maybe a sensitive young person would not feel terribly comfortable in. Mm-hmm. It was this sportsman's lounge, it was a casino, smoking room. Kind of deal. The dart hall, and I mean, if you've never been in a fist fight before, you might be a little nervous going in there and, drinking schooner and,
intimidated.
I do think that some people would feel a little bit intimidated about a location like that. Yeah. If they don't come from, I think that one of the best things about about punk and hardcore and stuff nowadays is that it is a little more not sensitive, but not as aggressive as it was. I mean, the music still has a lot of aggression, and I think you'll see that swing around again, right? The cycles of different epochs of punk rock have happened enough times. I think they're third or fourth cycle of it, but yeah, I think it's better that the kids aren't as violent, but just as well, if you're not violent, then you don't know how to deal with a bum with a jackknife in your face. So why would you want to go down to Sportsman's Lounge and smoke in the casino and get robbed? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But funny story about that show. There was I was in a real salty mood. Remember how bad a mood I was in, Chuck?
I remember.
Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, I don't want to do this. And then one kid showed up, and he would have been younger. He would be 19, and he clearly had no problem going to the casino to have a good time. And I saw him walk in, and he was carrying buckets, and he had dreadlocks on, and homemade patch pants and stuff. And I on one hand, I was kind of upset because I was like, "Oh man, now I have to." But I got up and I gave it my absolute all for that one kid and a few other people. I think there was more than 3, wasn't there? That's 4.
Yeah.
4? Yeah, that's like...
But those 4 people, man, that was like a crowd of 25 or 30 at least.
Yeah. Cool.
And that kid was nuts.
Yeah.
Like he was screaming. It was
right.
The only energy drinks they had were Blue Revs.
Blue Revs?
Nice. So I was sitting there like drinking a Blue Rev, just like I got to get through this. We got to do this. Wow. And so he gets it on that I like Revs. I don't. And so he kept buying me Blue Revs, and I was like, man, I'm an old man in my 30s. Like, I'm gonna have a heart attack if I drink any more than 2 of these things.
That's hilarious.
But more so to do with my weight than my age, I guess. Anyways, yeah.
That's cool. Well, you never know when someone like that's going to be in the crowd, right? Like someone, and that could change their whole trajectory, could inspire them in different ways.
Yeah. And so I ruined my whole voice. I ripped it right out. I mean, I don't sing 4 or 5 days in a row anymore, right?
Yeah.
And I had to tear the whole thing out. Couldn't speak for weeks properly. Wow. Yeah.
You left it all on the table. Is that the expression?
All for Scug.
All for Scug.
All for Scug. That was the kid's name?
No, he said he introduced himself to us as Skunk. but I
Okay.
misheard him, and I just said skunk's a terrible name to myself, and I said I'm gonna call him Skug.
Skug.
And so
That's a good one.
yeah,
Skug.
he that's his name,
Cool.
whether he likes it or not.
Sweet.
Yep.
So when you were talking, you mentioned earlier about how the scene's getting more sensitive, but the music's still aggressive, which is kind of the point of it, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to have some sort of aggressive outlet.
Yeah,
But are you talking about how the aggression's in the music, but not so much in like the way people act at the shows
Yeah.
and off out in the streets and stuff like that, in the punk scene specifically?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like it was very much like there were a lot of thugs, jocks with mohawks. That was really a thing. Back in the 90s and 2000s and stuff, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
I remember playing Sussex quite a few times, and the place would fill right up, and and it's a bunch of goons like the band I was in. I remember one time my bass player tried to fight like 12 guys in the parking lot at that place in Sussex.
Yeah, Jubilee Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you one of those 12 guys? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm a full-on wussy. I would never have even imagined. I was one
Oh,
of those-
none of those guys would fight him. He was, I don't know if you remember him. He played in his underwear.
I do, yeah, because he had the pack attack or something too, right?
Yeah. And he was standing there screaming, and the
Yeah.
only one who wanted to fight him was some girl on mushrooms. And
Yeah, that sounds familiar. That sounds right.
Yeah.
No, I would not have even come close to showing aggression. I promoted the shows though, so I may have been the one that booked it.
Oh, I appreciate it.
But
yeah.
I was not in the fighting mood. I would have been one of those guys being like, why are people kicking holes in the wall?
We're going to lose the venue,
Just trying-
stupid.
yeah, exactly. Like, just trying to have some fun here. That's cool. All right, that's a neat. Well, I kind of like to hear that it's getting keep the aggression in the music, obviously, because you need an outlet. But it's nice to be more accepting and inclusive and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So your album, is it Dedication or A Dedication?
No, it's dedication.
Dedication?
Yeah.
And that was recorded at Mayhem Studios
Yeah.
or Mayhem Rehearsal Space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the right?
Yeah.
Which is another kind of like key spot in the city, right? It's been around for a while.
Been
Yeah.
around,
It's it's a rental hall.
It's a rental hall, yeah. But jam rooms, I've lived in Saint John for 7 years, but I've lived in many different places, and jam halls or like rehearsal studios are always hard to come by. Seems like this place has been around for a while, though. Is that right?
I'm not familiar with exactly how long it's been there, but yeah, could be 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the first time I went in there, and it had been around for a while. They had like a skateboard ramp in there at one time, but
Cool.
Yeah, it's been around for a while. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just cool to see something like that stick around. Like, yeah, I don't know if you guys realize that, but like when I lived in Fredericton and spent time in Halifax, and obviously Sussex has no jam spaces, but it's always seemed to be difficult to find places to reliably
I always thought it was
jam.
really, really weird jamming in Halifax, because I lived in Halifax too, and they rent this like really like what the hell's that place called? It's like underneath an L&M or something. It's on the north end.
By the
it's
Commons?
really nice, and they're like really nice, pristine like jam rooms with good equipment and stuff.
I don't know if I've ever been there. but-
Yeah, I think you pay for by the night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes it tough though, like because at Mayhem you can just leave your gear there, right? You rent the rooms.
Yeah, you rent the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys jammed there. I just saw that you record. It said the album was recorded there, but
we have a jam space.
you do. Cool. And that was recorded by Eric Braun. Is that
Yes.
correct? It was he in
Easy
Hard.
Breeze.
Sorry,
EZ Breeze.
EZ Breeze.
Yeah.
Is that his real name?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was he in Hard Charger?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he sang on the second record, This Machine is Driving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's a guitar player too, right?
He was a guitar player too.
Okay. Cool. Interesting. So how was that process recording it? Was it live off the floor?
No.
No.
No. We did drums and tracked bass and guitar. And
Okay, cool. Because the energy's there. Like when you listen to it, I would have guessed live off the floor. Like it feels like a performance to me.
yeah.
I'm sure Eric would appreciate that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed for a second that it was like multi-tracked or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
did a great job.
Yeah, sounds really cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. So actually, it caught me right off the top, the song "Strike." So that's obviously about organized labor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your vibe there on organized labor? You want to get into that?
I think it's extremely important. Every member of the band currently is a member of a labor union.
Oh, cool.
I think given the situation, with the way inflation and it's just the sort of state of of like the effects of the gig economy.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, companies exploiting, you know, and finding every workaround that they can within in labor laws that that people have kind of grown a little complacent to, you know, that strength that comes in, you know, collective bargaining, litigation in favor of workers, right? Like, you know, that's one thing that sometimes you don't know what to do or how to do it or what you can do, you know, and when you're in a union, you've got people who are like, well, no, they can't do that. Oh, really? I don't know. I just need to get a paycheck to feed my kids.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that I was thinking about this today because I wondered if you were going to ask me about that. I think there's a lot of distractions out there to keep people distracted from that conversation.
From the from organizing?
Yeah, there's a lot of various you know, political hot points, news things, you know, things to sort of fascinate people's emotions, to distract them from real cut and dry, you know, bread and butter, if you will, situations like working and earning a living and, you know, trying to have a democracy in a society where, you know, people are treated equally, or albeit, you know, somewhat fairly. And I think a lot of people get bogged down talking about, you know, talking about things that matter to them, and that's fair, you know, but they don't matter to everybody, and you know, they're very polarizing. But I think if you ask most working people, who are the majority, that's the majority, how they feel about paying their rent, they're going to tell you pretty quick, right? Yeah. So and the more people can see solutions for that, and then solutions are provided for them, the better things can go, right? But it's also a little scary, so, you know, buckle up. Yeah.
When you say scary, do you mean like it's scary to like stand up to an employer, or like
and the effects that it, like, to take that to the farthest levels, right? Like that, you know, I mean, if you look at history and the history of organized labor, and you know what it took to get there, and you know, it was some scary stuff, right? You know, but you know, hey, kids shouldn't work. You know what I mean? Like, especially in dangerous things like coal mines, right? Yeah. You know, and you know, and that took some fighting. Yeah. Right.
Well, some of the headlines make it seem like south of the border, it's going backwards. They're talking about 14-year-olds being allowed to work in manufacturing facilities now.
There you go.
In certain states.
Right. There, I did a little project. I went back to school, and I did a little project when I was in school studying, and I investigated the trends of the disparity between income between the rich and the poor. And the smallest the gap had ever been was at peak union membership. That was in that time between the 50s and 70s. And the time that it started to immediately and quickly and exponentially separate was around when Ronald Reagan, just to, you know, be a punk band for a second, and when Ronald Reagan fired all the air traffic controllers and brought in trickle-down economics. And it's been getting wider and wider and wider and wider ever since.
And it's pretty much undeniable at this point.
I mean, you know, the billionaires and 3 jobs and you still live in your car, you know, it's outrageous. Yeah, and everyone's feeling it at the grocery stores nowadays. You can't hide that fact that when you go in and a loaf of bread's $6 when it used to be $3. I mean, you can't even hide that at all. No. And you try to tell me, it's because we're making better pharmaceutical profits, right? It's like everybody's got the best excuse in the world, and it was to blame COVID. And so, you know, now I got to charge you an extra $20 because, you know, the truck couldn't get here in time. Well, that excuse works so many times, and now you just lock it in.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened.
You just get used to
and
it.
who do you think tells you to try to make more money?
Yeah.
Right. And it's always, it just cream rises to the top.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like a vicious cycle. But do you think there's anything that organized labor could be doing better to promote themselves, or is there anything that could be? So I used to be in the union at the pulp mill. I don't work there anymore, but I was in the Unifor union there. And and that was my first union experience. So it's kind of like what you said, like you learn about, wait, they aren't allowed to do this, or like there's someone there to support you. But at the same time, there's all those cliche things that people have to say against unions. Like, is there any way that the union could get out in front and promote it?
I mean,
different ways?
union busting's been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
Right.
A real long time.
And it's very easy to play on people's emotions and pander to their integrity, right? If I tell you that you're a hard worker, you're better than somebody else, right? I mean, that's the whole premise on a lot of really bad stuff, right? And so it's a hard narrative to get in front of. Unfortunately, I think it's one of those things that's just, for a lot of people, it's just got to be as bad as possible first.
Like it's kind of that rock bottom situation. You got to hit rock bottom before you really want to make a difference or change.
Yeah.
I have to be honest. Sometimes I feel like that's where that's where things are headed.
It's not.
Yeah. You don't think it is? No. You think things are good?
I mean, no, I don't think things are good. Things are better for me than they've been,
Okay.
So maybe I got rose-colored glasses, and it's bad for a lot of people. It's really bad, but it's not, it's not as bad as it can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well,
then.
no, not really.
Well, I mean, it's
Because it's still going there.
it's still yeah. It seems like we're on a collision course, I guess, is what it feels like. But
Feels like it.
yeah. So okay, that's interesting. Have you guys ever been involved in a strike? Has that ever happened in your life? No.
No.
Probably, hopefully not, because that wouldn't be a good time.
No. I mean, it's but it's got to be done. Like, I mean, I think back, a couple years ago, some good friends, the healthcare workers were out there striking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and laying it down, and there's a lot of precedents that need to be set right now with the way technology is changing. The what's happening down south and Hollywood, and there's a lot of tricky stuff there that really needs to get hashed out, and that's the heart of media, right? So those people are there working on it, and I think you'll see some really good stuff come out of that.
Yeah.
I think that that strike that they're having in Hollywood is way more impactful than maybe some people will give it credit for. And I mean, there's so much media out there to keep you brainwashed, that you might not necessarily pay attention to it, but my childhood crush Fran Drescher is out there, she's crushing it, so hopefully they get some good wins down there.
Yeah. It'd be a nice win, because there's obviously big money in that industry, so that could set a precedent.
Well, it also is like it's where every information comes from, right? I mean, the baseline of how most people think about what's around them and themselves comes from what media they consume, right? Kind of talking about like punk scenes and stuff, right?
Yeah. Interesting. So, okay, let's switch it up for a second here. How have you seen the scene change, really? Like, because you've been in the scene now for what, 15? Do you want me to age you at all, or 15, 20 years?
Yeah, a little more than that for me.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any, like, obviously every scene ebbs and flows, but have you noticed any, like, defining changes?
Not really.
No.
It's pretty much the same as it's always been, I find.
Yeah, pretty steady state.
Yeah. I mean, you can go to a punk rock show and have a good time. Doesn't matter. There's many different crowds, really.
Yeah.
If you think about it, but
Like types of crowds?
yeah, just
Yeah, different types of music, bring out different types of people,
Yeah.
age demographics. Like I was, talking about, we were all talking about playing here, back in the 90s and the early 2000s and stuff. Like I remember a lot of formative years for myself were here for sure, like right in this area and this, in this studio. And
Yeah, because you were saying before we were on the air that you had a show here back in the day.
Yeah. And played downstairs in the cafeteria.
Yeah, the cafeteria had
quite
shows,
a few
right?
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and when you're 16, 17, your experiences are a lot different than when you're like, 32 and your collections is calling and you're sitting in the bar and your ex is screaming about child support and you just keep thinking about chewing on the barrel of a gun, right? I mean, that's a lot different than when you're 17.
Yeah, thinking about candy and women.
Yeah.
More so candy.
The big wide open road,
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. What about with bands coming through town? So you got a couple shows coming up. We mentioned the artificial dissemination, but then the ripcords as well.
Yeah.
And do you notice, like, do the touring acts, the out of town bands ebb and flow? Have you noticed any trends there? Like, are they? I know
they all keep getting older.
They keep coming back.
Yeah, they did. Some of them do. Some of them still come back. Some of them never play again.
Now you're saying you don't see many younger touring bands? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
No, that's not true. So there's new fresh faces all the time. You get a lot of like, you get a lot of like mainstays. Like we're gonna play with Bomb Squad here. 3 weeks, Chuck? Is that when that show is?
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's at the Pentagram too. It's Bomb Squad and a band called Motherfuckers from Calgary.
Okay.
And Bomb Squad's from Ottawa. And like Matt, the bass player, I don't even know what he's playing in Bomb Squad, but he played in Ripcords, Whiskey Shits, handful of other bands through the years, right? Mm-hmm. And so he's kind of like a Canadian punk rock staple.
Cool.
Right. And he's got, I think his drummer is there and from Alcohol Fueled, like a lot of, he's in Siggy and the Darts. There's a lot of these bands that just kind of change members throughout the years, just like they do down here, right? Mm-hmm. Like how I'm leaving this band after the next handful of shows, and Travis from Chainsaw Boogie, who I'm sure Chainsaw Boogie.
I do,
being from Sussex.
Yep.
He's gonna take a crack at filling in.
Cool.
And he sings Butthole to Butthole.
Yeah, it's a great tune.
Yeah.
So why are you leaving?
Because I got 4 kids.
Oh yeah, it's a
And
commitment.
I work a lot.
Yep.
And right now it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
Hard to keep up with everything. So I've been doing it for a really long time. So I kind of need I need a little scene break. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you never really took a break, eh? Because are you still in the Tasty Wangs? Or
Tasty Wangs will never die.
Never die? Okay.
Yeah. Currently, it's wouldn't say it's on life support, but maybe going through a little chemotherapy. Mm-hmm. I played in the Wangs for 13 years.
Yeah.
Slug Milk have been a part of that effort a little bit, not too much, but and then before that, All Gone Dead. So and I've had other little bands here and there in the mix of it, and always been really steady going to shows and playing shows and playing across the country.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see Dan, the singer from Motherfuckers, and he's a great guy, right? Cool. And spending time up in Edmonton and hanging out with bands like Reefer Madness and Chips Ahoy and Ripperhead and
cool. You lived out there, or you guys toured out there, or what?
No, I lived out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Sometimes I just go.
Yeah.
Spend like 9 months out west.
Yeah.
A lot of the other 3 members of All Gone Dead ended up in Edmonton. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
They're all out there. So you can have a little reunion when you're out there?
Of sorts.
What about you, Chuck? Have you been involved in the scene pretty much your whole go at it? Or like, have you born and raised in Saint John kind of deal?
I moved to Saint John beginning of high school.
Okay.
And met Corey a couple other guys, and we started VD.
VD, okay.
Yeah.
And that's
So we pretty much, I guess we broke up. Not really broke up, just stopped playing shows kind of early 2000s. Took a break for a while.
yeah.
I think it was 2014 we re-recorded or played a handful of shows, I guess.
Okay.
And didn't really do anything after that. And then April 2021, Corey got a hold of me and asked if, want to start something new. So
Cool. That turned into this
That was the
band.
beginning of Willful Disobedience.
Chuck's wrote pretty much all the riffs to all
Okay.
the songs.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question. Yeah, how does
Yeah.
the writing process go?
It's so I was in school. The whole idea was kind of something where I wasn't able to commit all my time because I already kind of knew I was already a little stretched thin.
Yeah.
Maybe I was a little too ambitious even. So the guys would jam, I'd be there like every third jam or so, and they'd write songs, and then I'd put words onto them. It was cool with like things like YouTube and all, just how easy it is to record things now with
Yeah.
quality. And and just instantly send it to one another. So you've got something right there. And Chuck gets a riff, and he's like, "Here, what do you guys think of this?" And
Yeah.
then Andrew will practice it, and Corey. I mean, I don't. There's not a lot of drummers around like Corey Abbott, so you're lucky to have him.
That was the first thing I noticed when I saw you guys live for the first time at the Panic Room was the drumming. I was like, man, he's hitting hard.
Yeah, that's
makes it sound
hip hop
so
Corey
good.
Abbott out there, man.
Yeah.
I was like, that's legit.
Oh, I hear some laughing.
Yeah, but I think it's funny.
Should we keep talking? If we keep talking about him, you think he'll get embarrassed? Like, is he turning red right now?
What do you think, Chuck? Do you think Corey's getting red right now?
No.
No. That's good.
Think he's getting mad?
He's getting mad. He's gonna burst through the wall.
Maybe.
But, I mean, it's true though. I did think that. I was like, man, this
Kool-Aid Man?
the hard hitting drums, the whole set. I was like, and it made the room sound so good because a lot of people. I mean, you're playing that music; it's so intense, and sometimes the drummers aren't quite up to snuff power wise or whatever. You know what it is? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, you guys don't have that problem. So
You're only as good as your drummer.
that's probably a pretty accurate statement. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's a fact.
fact.
Yeah. He's always been a hard, heavy hitter. so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, like these guys were the big kids when I was younger, right? So like BD was a band that we looked up to, and All Gone Dead, right?
Okay.
So it's pretty cool to get to play with them.
So you're the youngin. You're the young guy.
Oh yeah,
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 okay.
yeah. I sit at the kids' table a lot of the time.
Gotcha.
They're the big kids. They start talking stories about the old days, and I was like, I don't know, guys. I was in diapers, right? I was still hanging out at the mall.
That's cool. So you're in a band full of mentors.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's neat.
Well, actually, Andrew, the bass player, and I, he and I are closer in age, so
Okay.
we were friends in junior high.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Do you ever miss the All Gone Dead days?
Some things about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
I
an
mean,
interesting
who
time.
doesn't miss being a kid,
Yeah, the youth.
right? Yeah.
What about discovering music at that time? Like, so now like we're fed like the algorithms feed us music, and I know you can still go out and find new music, but do you find it better or worse? Is there any sort of like feeling attached to that? Like, do you miss going? Were you like record shop hoppers before, and now you just kind of download algorithm music? Like, any thoughts on that at all?
I miss mixtapes, I guess.
Okay.
We always had mixtapes. Your buddy would give you a mixtape. You could get a mixtape from the other side of the country and, find stuff you never would have heard of, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's great, the convenience of the internet, but I don't know.
Does it make it less special? Maybe that.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit. But everything that you ever wondered about, like when you just had a mixtape in your hand, you didn't know the band members' names, what they look like. Not that any of that matters, but you just didn't have quite all the information
Yeah.
that the band, was putting out there, which you can easily get now. Yeah. So
Well, I think it's true. I mean, a band was a mystery until you went and saw them live, and then sometimes the way they looked would change. Like you'd be like, "Wow, I would never have expected this band looked this way," or whatever. Or sometimes like you wouldn't even know they were in town. Like maybe you missed the show, and then you're like, "Oh shit!" You saw the poster after the fact. Whereas like nowadays, it's like slammed in your face all the time on Facebook, and like you're probably not going to miss the fact that a show's happening.
One of the bands that we kind of like in the early stages of the band sort of vibed on was I'm confident that you put this tape in circulation, but there was a band called Dis Sucks, and talking about like a band that just like has that effective. There's this one tape, you know, it was played at parties nonstop. It was the most hardcore punk you'd ever hear. Like it was totally like you know, this was not cookie cutter pogo. This was not Fat Records. This was like melodic crust with the most insane and, you know, albeit violent and depressing lyrics that really resonated with certainly how I felt at the time. And it was like mystical, right? Like it was just this tape. You put that tape in, you press play, and it's like you don't know anything other than they're called Dis Sucks. Yeah. And they don't suck. It's really and it's like it becomes, you know, and you don't really get that when you can just like sit on your phone and read their life story and then be like, okay, whatever, see you later. Yeah, now it's almost weird that you don't like if you can't find information about a band and like become their best friends just by reading about them. It's almost weird now. You're like, oh, I don't know anything about them. Yeah. But back then, like a band might not even have a website. You just have the music, really. There was nothing else attached to it. Yeah, it just kind of trickled its way up from New England and made its way to New Brunswick. And sure enough, you know, we got a hold of it because we were into that stuff. That's interesting. Yeah. That's cool. But on the flip side, I guess now, there's probably all kinds of bands you can discover now that you just never would have discovered without the algorithms. Yeah. And I think, you know, you can share in that sense of community, right? The community is so much smaller now because communication's so tight, right? Cool. And that is cool. That is cool. Yeah. Helps people grow. Yeah, for sure. Do you write all the lyrics, or did you write the lyrics for this album, Mike? Some of the there's a couple lines in a few songs that, like, if I got stuck, you know, another one of the reasons I've got writer's block, and I just, you know, to break the dam is just really hard for me right now. Oh, okay. Yeah. You know, and sometimes Chuck would have lines that, you know, he would feel like something was resonating with him in the song, and then I just kind of take it and go with it. Sometimes it's just easier for me if you give me a title or an idea. Yep. Right. But to come up with the title or the idea in the first place is really hard. So yeah, there's we play a couple covers, like you do an All Gone Dead cover, right? Yeah. Hard as Fuck is an All Gone Dead song. We tried recording it twice, and then both times it got deleted for some reason. Oh, like back in the day? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, they had a band called MSA for a while at West, and they played it, but they played it slow as fuck. So I thought it would be good to bring back the kind of more original, speed it up, sort of vibe of it. Like really try to recreate what the song was, because I really remember it. Yeah. Okay. And then we play a Welfare Boys song. It's not on the record. I'm drinking on credit. You know, there's a couple just like little songs that I just have sort of there. Okay. I said I'd never. You know what? I said I'd never play a Tasty Wang song in the band. We play Big Boy. Look what happened. I'm out. Tasty Wang's knocked you out. Yeah. Your swan song. Is that what that's called? Swan song? Yeah, big swan song about eating too much. There's a line in Working at War where it's I think this is what I heard. When your call center turns into an ammunitions factory, it might help to know something about metallurgy. Yeah. I was just kind of curious, like that just stuck out to me. Is there like is that like a... It's kind of partly to do with me. Like I studied welding engineering in school. Okay, cool. So I studied metallurgy. Did you used to work at call centers? No, I was in sales though for a really long time. So I did a lot of like phone call work and things. Okay. So it's just kind of like it's just a statement about how easily, you know, your life can be disrupted and just flip completely on its head, and nobody's immune from that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And also it's, you know, it sucks, but there's a lot of fighting going on, and you know, if you want to fight for the side that thinks it's okay if John and Jack get married, then you know you might have to help build a tank or two, right? That's the way that is, right? And that's pretty what's cut and dry for me. Not that I'm advocating war or violence or anything, but all I'm saying is that it's a reality, and you know, a lot of people in my generation skipped over, you know, manufacturing type of work and went to the call centers because they built these electronic plantations all around town and said, you know, it was going to be the new future. Well, it was non-union work for just a little bit more than McDonald's was paying.
Yep.
Right. You know.
Yep. I remember that era.
Just grinding out money for the man. Right. And that took that was a big brain drain, you know, and then there's a lot of people who weren't out making things.
I see. Know, okay. I see what you're saying.
In that time frame. Yeah.
So they kind of lost the chance to build skills that they maybe didn't even realize.
You never lose the chance, you know, unless you lose your hands, I guess, in a horrible accident. But, you know, you gotta, I guess it's what I'm more saying is to don't ever think that you lost the chance, right? Take up your chance when you can. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I went back to school in my late 20s. Like I was kind of there too. I was like, I went back to college and totally turned, like took a total 180, ended up at the pulp mill. Do you think like the union at the pulp mill, they went, before I started working there, they went through a phase where like they agreed to a contract where their wages didn't change for like 8 or 10 years. Like they didn't receive.
I can't speak to another union or another contract or anything like that, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there with that, and you know, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it just makes the wage things I find strange, because like if they offered more wages to the general workers anyway, like them being, I guess, the owners of production and the owners of the corporations, most people would spend that money back into the system anyway, so it ends up in their pockets, them again being the owners of capital and the owners of businesses. Do you think that money just ends up in their pockets anyway, so why not give the workers more money?
Well, there is, if some people have too much money, then they'll spend more money on things. I mean, that there is other factors that, you know, create inflation, right? But yeah, I know people. It's when those things happen that it's especially important that people be treated and paid fairly.
When like inflation happens, or
when things like that happen. Yeah, exactly. You know, that's why it's so important to you know, fight in those times, especially.
Do you think there's like an education component involved as well? Like, so when inflation happens, it makes people who like, inflation can happen quickly, and then if you're not familiar with how it unfolds, all that you're kind of left with is anger. Is there like an education gap maybe, and people not learning about that sort of thing? Or I'm just kind of thinking out loud.
This is the first time I've ever played punk music with serious lyrics, and look what's happened. You know, I mostly just used to sing about my genitals, right?
Am I putting you on the spot? Am I grilling you? We can talk about beer and, you know, Scooter.
Yeah.
I just get concerned when people like end up just being like, some people are just literally left with anger, and it's hard to move forward when people just end up angry.
Yeah, well, it's just hard to move forward when you're mad.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, we don't have to get too deep into it. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Cool. All right, so you got any other shows coming up this fall? That I know Corey gave me some posters, so. Or plans for new songs?
Those three songs, yeah. Or three shows, yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, Travis is writing stuff right now. That's coming down the pipe. They got a big upgrade too. I saw when they played after the Ripcords at the Punk Fest in Fredericton this summer. I don't know if you were there for that.
No, I wasn't. But
it was phenomenal. They were just. It was. I've seen a lot of big bands. Like I've seen Flag. You know, like I've seen, I can't even think of all the bands that I've seen over the years. Like big bands. You know, I used to go to Rockfest every year. Chainsaw played that show that night.
Okay.
And
Cool.
they were top tier.
Awesome.
Like, you know, first class, A1. Like and I've seen them many times.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the Wangs and Chainsaw played every other month together. So, and this was just, it was electric, nothing like it. So
Awesome.
it's pretty cool that he's agreed to give that a shot.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And are you guys working on new tunes with Travis now, Chuck, or is there any writing going on?
There is. Yeah. We've got a few songs that we're in process of writing, and then so now Travis is just gonna take a stab at those, I guess. And
Cool.
yeah, I'm excited because you know Travis just brings a certain energy.
Yep.
And you know that might inspire us differently or whatever. Right?
Yeah. He's got a unique vocal style too. Like the tone of his voice is pretty
He does.
interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Cool. Think you'll record it same spot?
Probably not.
No. Cool.
Yeah.
They're gonna step it up. Do some.
Step it up.
Yeah. Who knows where though, man? We don't.
Yeah.
Nothing's written.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The future is unwritten still.
Yeah. Okay. So nothing for sure.
Yeah.
I need certainty. That's how I work.
I can tell.
Yeah. No. This is all pretty new, so
Yeah.
Yeah. This.
Okay.
Yeah. I just dropped the bomb like a week ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is a scoop for the listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't even sure if I was gonna bring it up, but thought I
It's
should.
out there now.
Yeah, it's up there now.
Out in space now.
Yeah.
For the aliens to listen to.
Yeah, like they give a shit.
yeah.
Well, if they need water, they might give a shit.
Yeah.
They might come to Earth if they need some water.
What's that noise? Is that the crinkling sound of tinfoil? Man, I was digging through some old boxes of some camping gear, and they had like you remember when Superstore used to do the yellow with like the like spray paint style letters on it for their like no name branding? Yeah, I found a roll of tinfoil with that package the other day.
For constructing tinfoil hats? Is that what you're getting at?
Absolutely. What else do you use tinfoil for?
I don't know. This whole roof's, we're layered.
Did you layer the ceiling above the drop ceiling with tinfoil?
Yeah, first thing I did when I started
I
in
don't know.
here.
Yeah, great.
Keep the government out of my head.
I'm proud of you.
I don't think anyone's ever said that to me. That explains a lot, doesn't it? All right, let's play some songs maybe. I guess it's 8:52. I can't believe it's almost been an hour. That's pretty amazing. Any track in particular that you'd like me to throw on? I was going to throw on Heat the Town.
Yeah, I'm alright with that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think that's a good song.
Sounds
Yeah, maybe I'll throw on Heat the Town and we'll just let the rest of the record roll from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet, and that'll get us to 9 o'clock.
All right.
So check you guys out this Saturday, Panic Room. Let's run through the plugs. Panic Room Saturday,
Yeah.
August 26th.
Yeah. Panic Room. Oh yeah, good. Yeah, get those posters
I got the posters
out.
right here.
Thanks.
So we got Panic Room coming up August 26th with Heat Seeker from Fredericton and Artificial Dissemination. I actually don't know where they're from.
They're from Toronto.
From Toronto? Okay. Then we got November 3rd. Also at the Panic Room with the Ripcords, the follow-ups, $20. That'll be good, eh?
$20.
$20, 25 at the door.
Pay up.
Pay up. It's worth it. Oh, September 9th. All right, Panic Room again. Bomb Squad. That's the name of the band?
Yeah.
Motherfuckers?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not swearing on the radio, you're stating a name.
I'm stating a name.
That's a proper name.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So everyone go check those out. And right now I'm going to throw on Heat the Town by Willful Disobedience. Thanks a lot for coming in, guys.
No sweat, man.
Hopefully it wasn't too much of a grind.
That's all right.
All right. It was a grind. All right, here we go. Heat the Town. Enjoy, everyone. Have a good night. Thanks for listening to the Radical Fabulous.